Okay, views, what it is used for. Any idea? Anyone aware of it? Hello?
Obviously, doctor.
Yes. So can you tell these people so that they can understand?
Like to collect the data from multiple tables.
Okay,
We create view. Yeah.
okay, great. So what is the purpose of it? When you create multiple tables, when you want the data from multiple tables, you will always query it. I mean, yesterday query I'm trying to take. Let's take this joins example. Okay. So this is the table we have taken yesterday. So this contains a join. Okay. So when you want to have a join multiple tables, okay, we need to use left join, inner join, whatever can be. So Rahil, I will ask one question. So if we have a one table, do we not no need to create a view?
Come again?
I mean, you said like if we want to join multiple tables, then you need to create a view. So what
Okay,
about
right.
if I have only one table? Even with that, I can create a view or not?
Yeah, you can create a view with one table also.
Yeah. So basically, it doesn't matter you how many tables you want to have. Basically, you want to store this query in the database object. That is the main purpose. So a view definition says like it's a virtual table. Now you can see like this is the result when you execute this query, whatever you see here. So this result is not stored, whereas this query can be stored somewhere in database. So that is the purpose of creating a view. Create view, view name. View name is like customer product purchase. Okay, so you always end up with having this kind of queries frequently. Okay, you need to join multiple tables, and if you forgot this query somewhere, then it becomes very complex. So what you need to do is whatever query result you want to have, you write that query and put it in a view. So this will create a virtual table. Let me show it to you guys. So when you select this query, you are getting these 4 columns and with 10 rows. So when you create a view with this query, what it will do is instead of selecting this particular statement, I can select this particular view. Select star from this one. Okay, so you see the difference. Even you can select this query. If I remove this one, so this particular view is stored now. You see here you have the same result even if you select the view or the query. Okay, so basically your query will be stored in the view. Okay, and the results won't be stored. So view won't store the data, it will store only the query. That is the main purpose of view. Let me show it to you guys. So here it is the query. I mean the view is stored here, customer product purchase. So as Rahil pointed out, in order to have multiple joins, okay, so people will forget or they use different joins sometimes. Once you use left join or inner join, so this query will be stored. And if you use only one table, okay, and you use some where conditions where gender equal to male or kind of I want to have some constraints to be defined. Someone has some question?
No,
Hello.
commonly used queries where we every time we will run again on a daily basis or sometime. So those queries, if we can save it, it will be easy to retrieve, right?
Yeah. Yeah, so there are multiple purpose. So it is not, you cannot store those queries whatever you regularly use for that. Even this is used for a security purpose as well, the views. Um, the thing is, like, instead of giving access to the table, you cannot, I mean, you can give access to the views. Okay, so as we discussed yesterday, giving object level security, only the what objects you need to give, only three tables are given for HR manager role or someone has a different username, so you can give access to the views. So he cannot able to do any operations in the view, only the deletion or insertion can happen in the table. View is just a query, so that is main purpose of it. It is not only the common, that is also one of the purpose, but you say like you use 100 to I mean 10 to 15 queries usually, you cannot store it as a view. Just that query will be having written some useful information always like this. So I want customer product information, then you store it. Okay, and that is main purpose. Then you have something like security purpose. Instead of providing a table access, you give access to the view. That is the two important purpose of creating a view. So in the view, what you can do, whether you can do a delete or insert, as I said earlier, it will create only the virtual table. You can have only the var condition, I mean select statement inside the view. So what about order by class? Create view, customer purchase. This is customer purchase. I have customer purchase. Select star from. Even you can create like this. So this is used for encapsulation, some kind of concept, like you have a customer table, customer purpose, and you don't want to expose this table name. Instead, you want to give access to customer purchase. So this is used to hide the base table information. There are multiple purpose for creating a view. So when I create a view like this, only with this table information, select star from, based on order. I think it should not allow order by row ID. I don't think it will create. See, this is another important thing. You cannot specify order by class inside the views, inline function, derived tables, subqueries, all those things, common table expressions, all other stuffs, because it will store only the result, whatever order it is fetching. You cannot specify it here. But once you create the view, okay, then you can specify the order. Select. I will comment it out so that you can understand. Select star from. I'm selecting from the view, okay. Then order by row ID. This is simple. I mean, it is as usual. You can specify the order by, okay, because it is storing only the structure, okay. It will not store what order you need to store. So that is what it is restricting. So these are certain limitations in using a view, but it doesn't make any difference for you guys. Okay. With this note, let us focus on another topic, common table expression. So I have said like we have created a view here, okay? And what about I need some results to be stored temporarily. For that, we have a concept called common table expression. Okay, let us have one example here. So you have customer John and biscuit, everything. Okay, I want to filter out whoever bought biscuits. Okay, so what I will do, I want to use some biscuit and chocolate, these two conditions. So these two things, I will try to get it in another table. I want to put it in condition here. Select star from, I can do like this. Assume you need to create some temporary table, and those results you need to filter it over here. Okay, where product in. With temp product as. So this is a way to create some temporary results. Okay, select star from. See here, if I select this statement, it will throw me error, because whereas when you create a view, after creation of the view, this is an object created in the database. I can able to go and select it, okay, without choosing that one. Creation is like your object is created, the metadata is created. Whereas a common table expression, I have this one here, okay. Even I do like this, okay, it will throw error, because it should have the with statement should follow with the select statement. You see here, I need to select both with and select statement. The with should followed by the select statement. Okay, so this is the thing, like I have created some temporary results. I want to store it. So this is nothing but your common table expression, which will hold some temporary results. This can have any table information. Okay, for simplicity, I have created two rows, and which is having only one column, product. Okay, so this result, what I am going to do, this should be acting as a filters in this particular table. I want biscuit and chocolates. So select where product in. You guys know about temporary tables, subqueries. Select prod from this table. So once I select this, I need to comment it. As I said, this scope of this table, this common table expression, is within the next select statement. So I should not use this select statement. I need to use this select statement. Now I got whoever purchased biscuits and chocolates. Okay, this column, this you can mention it here also. Okay, biscuits and chocolates, something like that. But assume you have you don't know how many records it's going to fetch. Whatever query it's going to fetch here, You remember some queries like whoever has this degree and the employees whoever has this designation, those employees should be filtered, something like that. So in those cases, if we don't predict the can't have a discrete values, the result set will be based on the conditions over here. In those cases, you can use such a common table expression. Okay. So a view and common table expression is different. This will exist only with this query. If I use the same table reference after the select statement, if I run along after the select statement, this will not execute. Invalid object name temp prod. Okay, so that is the scope. You understand, I think, the scope statement, scope of any statement, how long it will exist, whether it's a global or it will last for the session, all those things. Someone has a question?
This union is will combine both the select statement, right? Data.
Union?
You include red select biscuit prod union. So this union will combine both the select queries and
Yeah. Yes,
uh,
yes, yes.
get the data.
Yes. It will append the rows, amend the rows. This is row 1, this is row 2. Maybe you, for confusion, I'll put it as ID. Yesterday, I think union and all I taken last session. So this is first and second. Forget about the union part. Just you still have confusion with union, how it works?
No, just a clarification I just asked.
Okay, so
So
now the focus should be on the common table expression. This is with, okay, the view definition, you just try to compare it with a view and a common table expression. View is permanently stored in the database, whereas common table expression, the scope is within the next select statement. Even if you use here, this won't work. But whereas if it is a view, you can create it as a view. If I change this one as a view, now you have seen like this result. You got result for this query, you got error for this select statement, error over here. Okay, what happens if I create it as a view? Create view. Okay, even you can do like this. View, first you need to create. You cannot execute along with this, just execute with that two select statements. Now you got the output. Okay, this is the main purpose, when to use, when not to use. Okay, now there is something like common table expression. Similar to that, you have something like temp tables. Temp tables. Okay, there are two types, I think. For now, I think you can stick to two. Hash table, hash table. Hash table is nothing but local temp table, and hash table is nothing but a global temp table. Global temp. So what is those? So all these things, guys, the temp table purpose is to store your results temporarily, and while the purpose of the table is met, then you can drop the tables. That is the main purpose. So till now we have seen like this can be stored in a view, this can be stored in CTE. Now I'm going to store this result in temp table. So say for example, it is like create table. The temper table is same as your normal table creation, but you need to prefix with the hash. ID and you say product integer, say care of 20. Okay, I'm going to create another table. I'll say global temp product and prefix with hash. So this is the one. Now let us insert these two records. Have a template table, insert into. Okay, it is as simple as that. Let us insert for a global table as well. Okay, so what is the difference? Why, when you should not use global, when to use local? Those things I will explain shortly. Okay, both have data. Okay, here. Now I will take this guy, this local temporary table, and put it in a new session. There is C, whatever you create a new query here, okay, that will have ID. If you can see at right end bottom, when I highlight, there is a number after my name 54. Then over here, it is 53. This is nothing but 53, 54 and all session IDs. Okay. So you have created this local temporary variable in session 53. You cannot go and access this temporary table in another session, but you can access within the same session. So the scope of local temporary variable is within same session. Whereas hash table I created here in session 53, I can go and access in a new session. Okay, so this temporary table and global temporary table, once you drop wherever you are created, once you close this guy, okay, this session, then these temporary tables will be dropped automatically. So I can drop it manually also. Drop table like this, drop table. So the all other operations, altering a table, whatever operations you performed in the table, those operations you can do it in this table. The only purpose is to store your results temporarily. Okay, and sometimes, so where you will use, okay, basically let me answer this question. So basically you have next I'm going to talk about the stored procedure, where you keep calling one procedure from another procedure, and sometimes what happens, based on different applications you call, some data called in one session should be accessed in another session. Okay, and in those cases, and that results should be stored temporarily. So in those cases you will use global. And some cases, like within the procedure or within the execution of that batch, okay, all these things, when I go and execute as a whole query, it is called batch running. When I run, the batch starts from go. When you have a go statement, from this go statement, whatever statements you execute, it is as a batch. Okay, in procedures you use go statement. So within that go statement, it's running as a batch that will create one session. So your scope should exist within that batch or session, then you will use local variable. And your data should reside for other sessions, I mean should be available for other sessions, then you need to use global temporary variable. Mostly we will use this one because our logics is not so that complex. So this is good to know. And what is the purpose of common table expression? That is used to store small results. Basically, there is a memory logic behind all these three: local, global, and this is your CTE. Okay. There are some memory requirements. This temporary product and temporary tables is stored in your system databases, temp DBs. I think it will have somewhere over here temporary tables. See, global temp prod, global temp prod. So it will be stored in your, as I mentioned earlier, what are the system database? You have a master, model, MSDB, temp DB. So when you create a temp DB here, it will create a temporary tables here. So physically, physical table is created. Okay. Whereas in CTE, you don't create a physical table anywhere in the database. That is the main difference. So you might ask why I need to use temporary tables. Instead, I can store the results in CTE within the scope. So usually if the volume is huge that requires some storage, go for local temporary variable. Otherwise, if you run it in CTE, it will be stored in RAM. So whichever doesn't stored in a database physically, these things will be stored in RAM. So better avoid it. Your system performance will reduce. Say for example, if you are storing more than 1 million record, don't go for CTE. Instead, you show for temporary tables. Such cases, you need to take a call based on that. Okay. And if your temporary table should be accessed by different sessions, go for global temporary tables. All right, guys. Any doubts in this? No. Okay. Fine. Let me proceed to stored procedure. So we've seen about these tables, views, the purpose of views, all your predefined queries and used for security purposes as well. Now let's go little on programming part, like stored procedures and functions, all those things. Let's start with stored procedure first. So similarly, you have your queries written. Okay, in the views you have only select statement. What happens when I have some data querying or data manipulation language? I need to frequently update one particular record, customer information, okay, whenever I receive. In the forms you have, like as we discussed earlier, how the data will get into a database from business perspective. You have forms in front end, they create a customer, they press button insert, or I mean submit, you will get insert into statement into the table. Similarly, sometimes like when I want to do change in my customer information, so what we need to do, we need to do the update, correct? So update, each time you cannot run one code, I mean that snippet, I mean that piece of code is by default. What you need to pass, usually people will update a phone number, people will update address. So what information you need to update? Phone number or address. Based on what you need to update? Customer ID. So this is a predefined structure, and I'm going to repeat for n number of customers. If I write a code once, passing a parameters, then customer information will be updated just passing a parameter. So these kind of scenarios, you create that code in a procedure. Okay, that is what one of the main purpose, you go for a procedure. Repeated task you want to do, that code to be executed every time some operation happens, then you go for a procedure. Let's have the same example now. I'm going to update customer information. SQL training Corona. Customer master. Okay, here what I'm going to do, I give a customer ID. Okay, I will pass customer address and phone number. Okay, when I change any of this information, my information should get updated. So how to update? Usually we'll write update query, right? Update customer master set customer address. For simplicity, I will go for customer address update for now. Okay, and we can focus on another parameter later. Customer address, I will say like Bangalore, I moved to Chennai, where customer ID equal to 3. So what it does like for Naga, you update the customer address to Chennai. Let us try that one. Why? I'm not in a correct database. Okay, this is the thing. Now you see the same information now. From Naga, it's moved to Chennai. Now you got it right. Earlier it was Bangalore. Now you updated to Chennai now. Now this is a repeated task. People will keep updating the location, phone number, all those things. So this is the statement I want to execute each time when there is an update. Okay, so such a scenarios, what I will do, create procedure customer update. Okay, and the procedure, if you can have any without any parameters also. Okay, if you keep like this, it doesn't get any information about the customer or what values to update. So you need to create a parameter here at customer ID. Okay, so remember the symbol that indicates a viewer variable. Okay, at customer ID, comma, at address. You need to define the data type, obviously. Okay, what is the data type of master? And varchar, keep same as whatever you mentioned. Okay, So the procedure, create procedure name with parameters, then begin. Okay, begin should be the thing, then end. Okay guys, so now I have given these two things now here. Then whatever values I'm getting it over here should be updated here. Okay, that is what, replacing the hard coded value with whatever you pass. Got it guys? So
Can you say that
this
again,
is,
Naga?
yeah, see, if I have a hard coded value here, okay, let us see, like the main purpose of creating a procedure is like there are number of customers over here. Okay, maybe I will take someone has huge data, 6 to 7 records. Okay, here you have 5 records. This is far better. I'll take this table. See, you assume you have we have a customer data. You have thousands of 10,000s of customers. Okay, so basically we want to update phone number, customer address frequently. So how you will do it? People enter in the screen in the GUI front end. Then you capture those value. Whatever you want to modify, you will capture that value. And for you, whom you want to apply for that particular customer. So obviously in a customer table only you want to apply. So you need to get these two information. What information you need to update? That is, for now it's an address, and for whom you want to update. For whom is customer ID. So these two things are very crucial things that you need to capture from the input system. Okay, that will update it. Okay, based on that only you will update. So earlier what I did here is for customer ID 3, when I want to update for now there is no 3. When I want to update for Kumar, now he is in Chennai. When I want to he is changed to Bangalore, I need to write Bangalore. So assume like you keep on storing this information what you want to update, then you are not going to update it manually. You should not do it because you have 10,000 customers. You cannot have it one by one. Okay. Instead, what we are doing, we have written a procedure, programmatic approach, where you get those information, customer ID and address, and in this place you replace those values instead of 4. See, now first I will update for Kumar, I will update to Bangalore. So how I can do it programmatically? I will pass 4 and Bangalore here. Okay, in this customer ID in Bangalore. So this should update me that Bangalore information. Now you see he already changed to Bangalore. Now I say he moved to Delhi. Kumar moved to Delhi. So I should not make it dynamically. Sure, should you have to make it dynamically for any customer I change. I should not hard code it. So just replace these two values, the hard coded values wherever you wish, and whatever values you are getting as input, you put it here. Now I create this procedure. Okay. Now you see the value here now. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 4, 5, 7. Now I want to update Deepak from Chennai to Delhi. I can use this procedure, execute. You give a values like, you need to give the value 5, comma, Deepak, I want to change him to Delhi. Now I'm not running the update scriptment. I'm running this procedure now. Done. So you see Deepak was in Chennai. Now he got updated to Delhi. Now you want to do it for Abdullah. He is in Kuwait. I will move him to Abdullah is 2. I will move him to somewhere else. I will say Africa. You see guys, Abdullah is in Kuwait. I'm just passing it here, but how it get, this is not referring any table. I'm just calling this procedure to Africa. The logic, whatever I've written here, that updates the Abdullah to Africa. You got it, guys?
Yes, Nag.
Any doubts? So this is how you need to create. This is the main purpose. You go for a procedure, any kind of operations that will perform your data manipulation language, updates, deletes, inserts, regular inserts into a table. Those things you store it in a procedure. So all applications, your Windows Forms, web forms will access to this procedure. They will pass the parameters like customer ID or customer name, whatever the key attribute that will pass in this parameters. So they will capture it here, then it will be passed here. This is the thing, guys. So you can do any operations here. Even I can use the same statement here for logging also. So it is not only one statement insert into customer master. Whoever I'm passing here, I can do a log. So multiple statements you can do. Insert into select. What are the columns? Only a name is not there, one is there, no? So I have only this information here. One, I mean, customer ID, comma, address. So how, so now I have created the procedure earlier. Now I'm changing some logic inside this. This is the logic change. Earlier I had only update. So now I'm changing a little logic. So it's the command is as usual. You are changing the structure. Just create, I mean, change the create to alter. Alter procedure name, same thing. Just use this one. Now you see, I have two tables now. Select star from customer control, customer master. Okay, now I got these two tables. Now I will say for John 67, I'm changing him to London to 67. First I pass 67 to London to, I will say UAE. Now what happens, earlier whatever we did changes, there is no entry here. Now I have made a logic to insert entry into customer master as well. Customer master, only two columns will be inserted, ID and address. There won't be any names, okay? Just for your understanding. It's not a proper way, but still. So for 67 UAE will be inserted first, then for John, UAE will be available here. That is the expected output. Let us execute this. You see one row affected, one row affected. Inside what rows affected, it will be replicated in your result set. Now we select the data. So now you see here another entry in customer master table 67 UAE, and for John we have changed to the address is changed. Okay, so this is the thing, guys, about procedure. It's very simple as that. And something like we can have a set no count, set row count on something, row count on off, set row count there is some function that will say like no count or something. This is useful like no count off, no count on. So this is useful when you have so there is a cast involved when you run this query. I mean, earlier you see like row counts on, I mean one rows affected message was displaying. So this itself will take some time. So this is, people say like this is one of the performance improvement factor. So in order to avoid such messages, you say like set no count on, off, something like that. Okay, just for your understanding I'll mention. Okay, yes. So when I executed again, so another entry was there. So there is no changes in your data here. So this is about your procedures, guys. Any doubts in this? Procedures, views? Hello?
Can you
Hello?
explain this again? This set no count on.
Yeah. So when I have this one removed, you see like alter procedure like this. When I update UAE, you get rows affected. Based on the insert statement here, this message is displayed. Based on the update statement here, the second message is displayed. Sometimes what happens, to avoid, there will be number of statements you keep on executing. So that will have a lot of messages like this. So to avoid these messages to be displayed, you need to enable this option. Okay, so I'm altering again. Now you try to run this guy. Omen. I will make him to Omen. Sorry. Sorry. Now you see like I said Omen. There is no messages now. One rows affected. One rows affected. You got it? Yeah. That is the main purpose. Okay. So this is the thing. And similarly, you have one last thing about today's session. We have a procedure. We have something like functions.
This conference will now be recorded.
So I added some more points here. It was only views and views was there. I will add triggers and cursors. Okay, fine. So I'm jumping between the topics. I'm not going in this flow. I mean, yesterday we saw about views. Then the order over here I need to revamp. So forget about that. So we start working on stored procedures and functions. So yesterday we saw about stored procedures. I will cover some more in that. And today we will start with the functions. Okay. And moreover, what are the difference between functions and stored procedures? That we will see. Once I create some function example, then we'll go for it. Okay. So functions, it is again a same kind of thing. Yesterday we created a stored procedure, and a stored procedure, what it will do? It will do the update. Let me check whether I showed that script. Triggers, functions, set operations. No, I think I don't have that one yesterday. Yesterday was 31st hours and some other mode. I didn't say. Okay, so yesterday we saw about stored procedure that use it to update. That will get two parameters. No need to worry. We already have this one here, customer update. So one, as I said, these are the objects. So your table is your object. Your view is your object. You see here, these are the physical structure it will create. So tables, and we have created views. Those things are created as an object here. Then you have a stored procedure. This is also an object. So these are the things it has created. Now you can see the script over here. So what it does, it gives two parameters. One is customer ID and address. Then it does its job. Just it will insert into a table and update the address. Both the things it will do. So like this operations, if you want to perform, you use procedures. Whereas functions, create function. Okay, let me take some table here. Customer master or customer purchase. Just want to see what it's taking. Okay, price into quantity. Perfect. I'll take at quantity, at price, integer again, and this is nothing but purchase value. There is a function name called purchase value, and which takes two input, and the syntax is it should return a value, return at net price, something like that. Okay, this is the syntax of it. I just found something over here. Give me a minute. Functions, table valued function, scalar valued function. See, basically a function should return a value over here. If you see a create function that will take parameters that should return a value. Okay, returns date time. Maybe we will say return integer. Okay, as begin declare. Okay, fine. It should say returns. I'll take the syntax from references, returns integer. Okay, that is a problem. Here you don't see anything. So what it does is, see, similar to a programming language, you can declare a variable. I hope everyone familiar with C or what basic languages. You can declare a variable price, okay, and declare it as integer. Then what you can do is set. You need to, if you want to assign value to this variable, you can say like set. Okay, set price equal to quantity into, or I will say net price, quantity into price. This is as simple as that. Okay, then what it will has to do, once it calculates, just return me the value, return net price. This is simple programming, okay, that you understand this one. It gets two input variable, one's quantity and price. It will multiply and return the results. If you give 2 and 3 here, it will return 6. So this is what you return a program. I hope everyone has written some programs. If not, this is the way you have to write. So you need to store these results in some place. That is the variable I have created here. This is the way to create your variable. Declare is a statement to create a variable that will hold temporary results. So I'm setting the value the calculation of this will be stored in net price, and I'm returning this value over here. Okay, this is the definition of your function. Then I'll just execute it. Okay, then how to call them? So I can use select of purchase value, and I need to specify 2 comma something like that. So I hope everyone knows the multiplication. Just I will execute 2 into 9 is 18. I'm getting this value. Okay, so what is the main difference over here is like, so you guys understand, right? These kind of calculations you will create. Okay, and you can use this function to compute some values. It is as simple as that. You just imagine you are finding the tan theta, or some average values, or you are passing some calculations like average for that month. Any calculations you can do over here. Okay, you pass that value, 2 input values, then you can execute. You can pass those 2 values here, then you get the results over here. Okay, this is your function net price. I think even you can execute, like, you cannot execute a function like this. Let me check that one. So you cannot execute a function. Okay, you can select a function like this only. Okay, so that is the main difference between your stored procedure and functions. What I'm trying to say is, you have here a create procedure over here. Okay, create procedure name, and in order to do a call to this procedure, you use execute procedure name, you pass some id 3 comma some Bangalore or Chennai, whatever, like this. You will pass, you are executing without parameter, I think. Okay, now you got the value. Similarly here, I think you can do it. Let me check that one. Execute will not work here. Okay, this is executing, but you are not getting the result. In order to get the result, you need to put it like this. Select. You no need to use the select. If you use select, then this is enough. You can get that value in the select statement. I'll use both the guys together. So in order to get the values, you need to use select statement to run the query. Now this is the value I'm passing it over here, 2 comma 9. What happens if I run this function for a table? You can do that by passing this function. So here I found one data, this table. I want to multiply this quantity into price. I want the result 40 to be displayed in a new column. This I want to do programmatically. I don't want to write the code. Even I can write like this, the same thing, quantity into price. Okay, this I can do it here itself. I'll get the results. I got this result 40, 60, something like that. Instead of that, in this place I can call that function passing quantity comma price. That will calculate this 40, 60, 70. Let me show that one, what I'm trying to say. So this is a table, and I'm having a without function, then I'm using this function, I'm calling this function. Okay, here you see in the select statement, I'm calling this function. This is the function name, purchase value. Instead of 2,9, I need to pass this quantity here, this price over here. So 2,9 gave me 18. So this one and this one should return me the same using function. So this is without function. This is using a function. Both return me a same. 5 into 10 is 50. 5 into 10, 50. So using a function, this returns. This is without a function in the direct column. So I have written it like this because some calculations you cannot do it in a simple calculation like this. Okay. Some calculations you will pass these two values, and in your logic you compute lot of things over here. You write hundreds of codes over here. Then final results should be passed to this column based on the two input values. So such a things you go for function. And the main difference, now you got about what is a function used for, and the stored procedure also you can do it the same way, but you cannot use it in the select statement. The stored procedure you cannot use it in the select statement. Say for example, what I'm trying to say is, so since I said like I can pass parameters here, so this customer ID and address also I can pass, right? You might have asked. So this is the stored procedure, customer update. Since the stored procedure requires execute statement explicitly mentioned, okay, you cannot have a select statement and execute statement over here. So you cannot use a stored procedure in your select statement. Okay, that is the thing. But whereas you can have your function in your select statement that will execute for each row. I hope I am clear with this. Let me show you base difference between these two. So stored procedures and functions. The difference is this, the basic difference. And the function must return a value, but stored procedure, it is an optional. So this is the core difference between your function and a stored procedure. You remember our stored procedure that was inserted and updated. That did not return any value. Return in the sense you give some input that will return that value and you store it. Whereas that function, you gave these two inputs, it returned you a value called 18. When you execute this procedure, that does not return any value. This does not return any value, just it has done its operation, whatever you do. Okay, if you want some operations to return some value by default, you go for function. Okay, then stored procedure can also return a value. It is not mandatory like it should not return. It's they said like it's an optional. Okay, but stored procedure, it is an optional. But when you want something to be returned, then you go for a function. Okay, so that is what they mentioned. Even a procedure, stored procedure, can return 0 or n values. That is any that can return values. That is a core difference. Okay, next point is function can have only input parameters for its, whereas the procedures can have input or output parameters. So it is same, I mean, more or less. So function should have input parameters, can have only input parameters. Only input parameters means whatever you pass. And procedures, instead of written value, they say it as output parameters. Okay, the parameters matters, whatever you pass. Here you can specify. I will tell you later. Functions can be called from a procedure, whereas a procedures cannot be called from a function. So it's like some people will have a comment from here to there to there. It is not possible. Vice versa, it's not possible. Meaning like inside a procedure, okay, inside a procedure, you can call the function. But from a function, you cannot call a procedure. That is what it mentioned. Let us have that one, these 2 points clarified. I'm just altering this procedure, create function name. I'm saying alter. So as usual, guys, this DDL operation applicables. Alter means you are modifying something. What they're saying is, I have this function. If I say like I want to call something inside this function, I'm calling this procedure. Okay, you execute it. Okay, now it has compiled. Compiled means this code is saved. But when you run this one, only functions and some extended stored procedures can be executed from within a function. So it says like only functions can be executed. Another function you can call. You cannot call a stored procedure inside your function. Okay. In such a cases, you should avoid it. Basically, guys, people will confuse which one I want to use. I want to use function or stored procedure. When you want to call another stored procedure inside your code, then you go for stored procedure. So stored procedure can call another stored procedure. Fine. But you want to do some simple calculations, such a kind of things, or any other complex calculation that returns a value, single value or multi-value, whatever, then you go for functions. This is the simplest way to understand about functions and stored procedures. And the other things are there. Procedures allows the stored procedure. See, people always say procedures in SQL world. They will not say with the stored procedure. It's procedure. Procedure allows DML, insert, update, delete, whereas function allows only select statement. Okay, these are the things you need to consider what to choose, whether you go for stored procedure or function. If you want to do insert, delete, update inside that, so always you need to go for stored procedure. This is the point I highlighted. Procedures cannot be utilized in a select statement. We cannot call a procedure in a select statement as we did before, the price into quantity, whereas functions can be embedded in a select statement. So they use some technical words, don't confuse. In the select statement, you can call a function. Then stored procedures cannot be used in SQL statements. It's simple, either in a SQL or select, both are same. And functions can be used. Since it's used in select, you can use it in a where condition, whatever place. Okay, these are the things. You just keep it for your reference. Anyway, I'm going to share this presentation. Only syllabus I have shared. I'm keep updating this slide. So once it is done tomorrow or day after tomorrow, I will share this, both the things along with the recordings.